Good morning, community. Good morning. Good morning, community. We're going to delve right into Talk to Me Thursday. If everybody will meet me right here in the comments just by saying, I assign value to me. I assign value to me. I do. That would be me, her, right here. Like, really embrace that in your spirit. Really embrace that in your spirit. I assign value to me. And man, that is our pushback right at the top of our lesson against all of the words and things that have been spoken to us, about us, against us, that we've somehow embraced or bought into. And it's caused us to like shrink as it relates to our needs and minimize as it relates to what God has for us. But today we get back to that space of understanding I assign value to me. How? By tapping into what God has said about who I am and how he looks at me. So yesterday when we finished up our lesson, we determined that we were going to start right here with the work then of understanding that if I have valid needs, I have valid needs, and perhaps those needs cannot be met by the people that I have assigned them to, then I am empowered to switch some stuff up, move some stuff around, shuffle it up a little bit. But how do I do that? And the response that I gave at the closure of the lesson is, I know many of us have heard we have to set people free. And we've heard that we have to set people free for our own good. Where we're going to fill in the gap in on this morning is, but how do we do that? How do we actually do that? If it is for my own good, if I'm supposed to set someone else free so that I can reassign needs, and where I had someone holding a space, I can give that space to someone else to feel. How do I do that? Well, here we go. For all of you note takers, you want to chronicle notes really well on this morning so that people can come back and read the notes and sit with it for a while. And then we're going to be processing it as we go along. So welcome to Talk to Me Thursday, community, where we truly are over here being better together. I see that there are a host of us already in the room. You are more than welcome to tag a girlfriend and tell her, get on here. We're about to set some folk free, including ourselves. Get on in the room on this morning. While you all are doing that, I do just want to remind you quickly that we do have our pop-up. Lee, I saw you say, honey, you could not find it on the website. It is okay. The link is right here in the community. You don't have to go over to www.drginalyn.com. Actually, I don't know that it's even there, but it is right here, like in the community, honey. You ain't got to go outside of the gated community. We in here. All right. So we want to make sure that you just hit the link. And then, honey, I showed out and added it yesterday right here in the conversation. I don't think I'm quite prepped for that on today. Maybe some at some point. No, I put what I just put. No, that is not right. At some point, I may be able to go over and grab it. Okay, but you can sign up for the pop up here. As I've said before, it is going to be a wonderful time of fellowship, of leaning in, of prayer, of praise, of worship, of hugging it out real tight, having that good fellowship. And I believe the Lord has something for me to share even in that moment as we wrap up 2023, going into 2024. So I encourage all of us to make the effort to be on the list to get the location information, okay? Nothing extra about it. You just come on in and be blessed as we wrap up. But setting others free, let's get to the top of that lesson and go with it. Set you free. Holy Spirit, be with us. Teach and cover the atmosphere, intercessors, because we always want what's said here to land right, to land in love. So y'all lean on that heart button, to land in love and to land in a space where we can receive it. So for Talk to Me Thursday, how do we set other people free? How do we set ourselves free? We've previously bought into narratives and we followed rules. I don't know who is the official rule taker, maker. I don't know who said so. But when we determine that we're mature enough to understand that our needs are valid, we're clear enough about what those needs are, we're sure that they're not being met in the places that we've assigned them to. How do we really expedite? Because, honey, God knows we need it in a hurry. How do we really expedite and execute freedom? The first thing is We give ourselves permission to need what we need. That sounds so simple. But I know there are women on the line who can agree that we've minimized our needs. We've acted as if we're too grown and we're over it by now. I know there are grown women who can still look at a father-daughter and their eyes are weepy, right? And not because they're jealous or envious or don't want that little girl to have that relationship with her father, but somehow just seeing that father-daughter walk by holding hands, that grown woman is transported in her mind to the void that still exists in her own life, even in her 30s, her 40s, her 50s, her 60s, her 70s. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong, even with grown adult women still wanting a mom, a mommy, a mama. Like there's just nothing wrong. And when we give ourselves permission to need what we need, that is the first step towards setting yourself free. Why? Because you can't give someone else permission to stop pretending that they are capable of meeting your need when you can't even give yourself permission to stop pretending that you don't need what you need. So you start with you. You give yourself permission to need what you need. I give me permission to need affirmation. I give me permission to be clear about my love languages and to need that. For me, that's quality time and verbal affirmation. I give myself permission to need that. I give myself permission to want spiritual women to pray over my life. I give myself permission to sometimes want a fatherly covering beyond someone saying, well, God is your father. I know that. I know that. But there are moments when I want to sit at the feet of a male father figure in living color, in real time, in life, flesh and blood. When the world feels particularly hard or harsh, as it can be towards women trying to lead and survive, sometimes I want a male's point of view on how to navigate a really difficult situation. I give myself permission to need what I need. Right now, as a matter of doing the work with me, I want you to be bold enough to at least acknowledge verbally, out loud, if you're driving or walking around your home or just listening in, or to join me in the comments and just quickly jot down, I give myself permission to need. Now, I just said the whole front line of the sentence, so you don't have to type all of that. You can just type your response. You give yourself permission to need what? Somebody may just be putting a listening ear, a maternal woman, a appreciation, verbal appreciation. You give yourself permission to need what? That is the first step. Giving ourselves permission. Giving ourselves permission. So you must be gathering your thoughts, watching to see. I give myself permission. I see someone saying affection and being understood. Acknowledging you, sis. Safety, appreciation, and love. Love, a covering, and understanding. To feel respected and appreciated in my own home. To have my own thoughts. To be loved. To have verbal appreciation, affection, safety, and love. Quality time. Absolutely. When y'all hear me read those words out, that's not too much to ask for. To have stability, to have consistency, to have honesty, to have loyalty, to have commitment, to have you deliver on what you said, to have you keep your promises. Like I give myself permission to need that. Come on, sis. She said, I have a husband, honey. Y'all stretch your hands that way. Absolutely. It's a part of God's design. There's nothing wrong with wanting those things. So here then is what happens next. To have growth. I see that, sis. Because some people will say, oh, it seemed like you're changing. I am. I'm growing. I'm evolving. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I give myself permission to be heard, to believe that my voice is valid, to not play like I'm confused and like I don't think straight. I do. My mind is clear. I meant what I said. I give myself permission to believe I belong at the table. My feet belong in the room. My name ought to be at the top of the list. I give myself permission to need that. I give myself permission to need, and then I give myself permission, y'all listen, to unapologetically do the work to have my needs be met. That's my tangible example that I even used yesterday when I said there are different things that I need. My blood biological mom is over an hour and something away, and then I travel quite a bit. I have given myself permission to embrace other women who are about her age in her zone, who are sometimes near, like a Miss Constance, when I just want a home cooked meal. I don't lock myself into the narrative that if I want a home cooked meal and I only got about 30 minutes in my day, I got to somehow buy into the narrative that the only place I can get that is in Somerville at Zoe's house. And so until I can make it to her house, I just go without that. No, no. I give myself permission to say, huh, every once in a while, I call her and say, hey, I'm so sick of eating out. I'm just going, let me be careful with my words, honey, because I ain't trying to get sick. I'm traveling even now. I just want a home cooked meal. Can you do that? I'm okay with asking for that. I'm okay with getting that need met. And that's just a simple example. I've also shared how I'm okay with flying to Louisiana and sitting at the feet of Brother Victor Simon and saying, I got this, and this going on. Or particularly the last time that I was there, for whatever reason, Father's Day was really hard for me that year. I could feel it coming. Y'all, it wasn't even Father's Day yet. But I made plans proactively so that by the time it hit on that Sunday, I was already in Louisiana with him. I gave myself permission. I know the world says that I may have needed to just stay home and cry, or go to church and just sit and look at everybody else with their fathers and miss that. I know the world has a narrative and rules about what it's supposed to look like, but I have clearly given myself permission to need what I need and to be very strategic about getting those needs met wherever they have to be met unapologetically. That's what we do, level one, to set ourselves free. That's what we do. Make sure you have that clear for yourself before we bridge over and then how do we set the folk free who've been holding these spots? Yes, Kiffany, it is okay to get your need met. We get to choose. We get to choose. Someone is toggling from a lesson from previous. Absolutely. We get to choose our butt. I give myself permission to let people take care of me when I don't have what I need. Yes. Those are our steps. We first acknowledge what we need, and then we give ourselves permission to get those needs met, even if we have to create our own rules and our own narratives about how we're going to do so. Let's roll then into how do we set people free? Those people that we've been holding into those narratives and by those rules. Listen, I want you to understand this as it relates to setting people free. Whether you're setting them free in this context where we're saying, I wanted my biological mom to be the one who did it. I wanted my biological father to be the one who did it. I want my biological blood sister, or whatever rule you've set up in your life for somebody, honey, you already know they do not deliver. How do we set them free? This answer is pretty similar to what we do when we do forgiveness work. Setting someone free just simply means you're no longer waiting on them to have the consequence, y'all. You're no longer waiting on them to get consequences for the spaces where they fell short. You have to hear me on that on this morning. Otherwise, you won't move past setting them free. It is critical for you to know that setting someone free means that you no longer, actually it means that you give up the responsibility, or you give up the you give up the monitoring, honey, and the policing, waiting on them to have consequences. You give that up. Be clear. It does not mean that they do not deserve those consequences. It does not mean that they don't have karma coming. If you believe in karma, it doesn't mean that something's not going to boomerang and come their way for the actions that they've done. But what it does mean is that you give up. You give up the waiting and the responsibility and the watching and the policing and the pleading and the trying to ensure that those consequences come to them. You give up the right, so to speak, of wanting to make it a point to let her know that you're not a good mom, that you're not meeting my needs. You give up all ownership of that ugly, icky kind of space. That's all that that means when I say you set them free. It does not mean that you minimize what they've done. It does not mean that you act as if certain things never happened or didn't or were lacking. It doesn't mean that you have to pretend that they didn't hurt you or any of this stuff. It just means, mature woman, arise. You don't utilize your energy, your days, your time trying to ensure that they get consequences. Now, what does it look like when we're waiting, when we're trying to ensure that they get consequences for how they've handled us? It's the moments when you intentionally watch to see how they treat perhaps another sibling, how they treat another child. And you can't hardly wait to be irritated because you already knew in your heart and in your spirit that they like the other child better than you or whatever. You already knew they was going to bake that child the special cake, honey, while they ain't got nothing together for you. You go over there on the holidays looking to see. You already know, right? Or you just wait for your birthday to come so that they can no-show, because you already knew they was going to no-show anyway, because they've been no-showing. But every single year you set yourself up to wait and watch so that when they don't, you can tell them about themselves, and you can be ready to act just as ugly. No, sometimes we're actually extra kind. We go and overdo it for their birthdays to show them how you don't do nothing for me, but I'm still faithful and good, and I do all of this for you. Are y'all tracking? Trying to think of some off the top of my head. Y'all tracking? When you posture yourself to not only wait for them to fail, but when they fail, it brings up some type of emotion or action in response on your part. You're ready to be reactive. There's a venom to your posture as it relates to them, because you really want them to get the consequences, to really see the damage that they have done in your life. You withhold their grandchildren per se, and then you're not gonna let them, you ain't gonna get the fool with them, even though you know they are particularly gracious and kind towards your kid. But you're not going to even let them do that, because you're still punishing them for how they did not show up for you, right? It's all of that type of stuff. It's that type of stuff. Mature woman, arise. Mature woman, arise. I love some mature woman said it, I arise, right? Because some of you know that's you. And I am not making you wrong for having those feelings. Again, those feelings, those needs, that desire is valid. But the way to set them free, which is when people say you actually set yourself free, is when you give up the waiting and the watching and the wanting and the policing, trying to ensure that they get consequences for the things that they have done. Again, with clarity, it is not to say they do not deserve the consequences. It is not to say they won't get them consequences. But vengeance is mine, said the Lord. So it's when you just do the work. So let me be honest in that space and help us get there, y'all. Try to watch the time just a little bit. This is how you do that. You stop shoulda and them, who they should have been, all that stuff. And you just say, you know what? She's just as pathetic. He's just a no-show. That's the truth. Some of y'all need to set some co-parenting free, because they ain't co and they ain't parenting no way. And I don't know where that came from, but I'm supposed to drop that one to some of y'all too. You need to set him free. Honey, he ain't been showing up as no father. And you do yourself and your child a disservice to keep orchestrating opportunities for him not to measure up. That's you waiting on the consequence. You knew when you decided to have that birthday party and you sent him a Cash App request. You already knew it was going to be denied or unanswered. You knew that. You already knew he wasn't going to come. You knew that. But you set the moment up anyway. Wait for him to no show. Just so you can get on here, you get to text him about da 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 da. Stop it. Somebody say stop it. Set him free. No longer waiting on them to have the consequences. It does not mean that they won't get them, and it does not mean they don't deserve them. But you stop setting them up and waiting for people to fail. And you are now packing the weight, all that angst, and they somewhere eating French fries. Set them free. But how do we do that? In manageable ways. Everybody be clear. There's internal and there's external. To try to set people free in one lump, baby, that's too big. Y'all hear me? That's too big. There's internal work and there's external work, right? To do it all together is too big. So I'm about to break this down quickly. Note takers, y'all get it so people can come back and listen. I promise to God, you need to get a good girlfriend who's been struggling with forgiveness and setting people free. Have her come and listen to this specific lesson. It will give her tangible steps. And I promise you're going to be helped. To try to do it all as one lump, it's just too big. It's too much. Some people done just did too much for you to try to just whitewash and blanket forgive. That's too much. So for all of y'all who just say, you just chunk it on Jesus, just cast your cares. I get it. I know them scriptures. Y'all can't trip me up with them scriptures. Zoe taught me them good scriptures in Bible school and Sunday school and vacation. So I'm here for all of y'all who you want to chunk that in real hard. I get that. We are supposed to cast our cares on over there. We are. But there's a distance that my 3-year-old niece can throw that is different than grown woman Gina can throw. I'm saying that to say, so her casting is going to look different than my casting because I'm more mature, I'm older, I practice a little bit longer. So the reason why I'm back breaking this down into steps, instead of just telling people just chunk that at Jesus, I'm breaking it down into manageable steps so that their throws and their ability to cast it at Jesus can get better and stronger with time. So we're learning how to merge the word with practical application. So we casting, everybody who's getting a little bit worried, we're casting, but I'm just giving us some steps on how to cast, right? So we can throw further and further. Y'all track and lean on the like button if you're tracking, if you understand where I'm coming from, honey, because sometimes this stuff, Nikita, it be big and y'all be talking about forgiving, baby, that is not no one fatal stool. It don't work in people's lives. So for anybody who real talk, who get what I'm trying to say, we trying to make this manageable so the folk can really move closer in setting people free. So here's how we start. There's internal and there's external. Internal are the things that happen on the inside of me. External are the things that happen apart, like out in the world and other people, most often things that I can't control. Internal, inside of me. External, it's on the exit side. It's happening out there with other folk. So when I am trying to set someone free, y'all can probably guess it. I start with me. Internally, y'all listen, I make this simple decision. I make a decision that I desire to set them free. That's it, honey. And let me tell you, for somebody, that may be the work every day. Be okay if every day, for a minute, if you have been in an abusive situation, if you have been in a violated situation, be okay with every single day. That may be your only step, is to wake up each day. And when you feel yourself spiraling into memories about that abuse and you getting worked up and you getting angry, or memories about that violation and that sexual inappropriateness or whatever it is, and you feel yourself spiraling into depression or some sense of, oh, I want to get them. Your work every day may simply be, I desire to set them free. Your work every day may be doing the work of making a decision to set them free. And be okay if for a minute that's all you got. That's all you got. You think about the rape, or you think about the assault, or you think about the black eye, or you think about the disloyalty, you think about whatever it is, and it works you up. And instead of going and doing some type of action, you tell yourself, I'm working at setting them free. Sis, I don't care what nobody say. I'd be high-fiving you, hugging you, and giving you an award, because that is the first step. The first step is making an internal decision that I desire to set them free. Not give them a get out of free, not pretend they didn't do it, not get out of jail free card, not none of that. I'm not speaking to that. I just desire to no longer pack the weight of ensuring that they get the consequences for the things that they have done to me. And if every day you land in that space of trying to make that decision until your emotions and your mind begins to align with the decision that you have made, you are doing the work. That is the first step, honey, because you can't try to set nobody free if you don't really yet want them to be free. And it is okay. Are y'all tracking with me? If you're there, give me thumbs up, lean on that button, say I got it. That is the internal space. That is the internal space. For those of you who may be new to the community, let me help you. If you're joining in the comments, because I want to keep the lesson very streamlined, and you may be trying to be helpful, but we avoid cliches. So no, ma'am, it is not let go and let God. No, ma'am, it's not. If that was working, you would not have so many women who walk around with unforgiveness in their hearts. So if you're new, then I'm welcoming you to understand how we move. We tear down stinking thinking and cliches, and we really try to deep dive into pragmatic, practical answers. Y'all cover that with love. Y'all lean on the love, because those of you who've been here a while, y'all know me. I'm saying it with love, but I'm emphatic about this space. I hold space for women to bring their real issues, their real concerns, and get real answers. And we do not cliche women to death over here, because that stuff does not work. And we go around as believers who are broken because we don't have spaces. So when we are talking about things like assaults, when we are talking about rape, when we are talking about things like abuse, it is not as simple as let go and let God. How? If you've never been in those circumstances, then cliches are easy to give. But over here we hold space, even if I've never been raped, to say, baby, I'm not going to hear you talk about rape until you let go, let God. That's not how that works. So let's follow the lesson, and let's hold space for women to really learn so that they can grow. And if all you got is a cliche right now, you just be safe and lean on the love button, all right? Or give a thumbs up, or tell somebody you be encouraged, sis, all right? That's what we're going to do. All right, so back to it. I see somebody saying it. I'm holding space. Absolutely. Hold space with me, sis, because y'all don't be emphatic about that kind of stuff. Okay, so you make a decision, and you keep trying to make that decision, and your emotions are going to come up, and your anger is going to come up, and your disappointment is going to come up, and when daddy never showed up for you, but you see him over there with his stepkids. If you ain't never lived certain stuff, you can't jump in here with all of that. But if you have a biological father ain't never done jack for you, but you see him over here with his new family, and he done bought his stepchildren some cars, and his new kids a house, yeah, some emotions and some stuff gonna come up, and you can be 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and you can go all the way back to that little girl who couldn't even get some food or some socks. Mentally, in your mind, you can go there because you see that he just bought the new children a house. That's real talk. That's real talk. But you continue to make that decision. You continue to make that decision that I want to set him free. I'm not saying that what he is doing is right, but I am saying I don't want to keep looking around the corner trying to see the new house and get mad every day. Somebody understand what I'm talking about, right? So we make that decision. And then, y'all, this is where we go. I got you, sis. Somebody else may see that too. 40 and still healing. I'm going to show that. 40 and still healing from a daddy not being there. Absolutely. And especially when they're being there for other people. That's real. And this is a safe space to acknowledge that. Yeah, absolutely. So then here's what happens when you've made that decision. So some of you will make that decision and you're really ready to go. Others will have to make that decision over and over and over again. Okay. You will have to make that decision over and over and over again until you get to the day that you really do wake up. And anger is not the first thing. Trying to go see what he's done this time is not your first thing. Then, when you've made an internal decision, you do that first. You no longer work on it internally. Y'all get it? Hear me clear. When you make the internal decision that you want to set someone free, you don't have to work on your emotions aligning with that. You don't have to work on your memories aligning with that. Like, you literally make one decision internally. And get this, you leave internal alone. All you do internally is continue to try to hold to the decision that I want to set them free. You ain't got to be worrying yourself trying to get your emotions to agree. You don't have to worry yourself with trying to get your thoughts to agree. You don't have to worry yourself with trying to make your memories agree. All of that stuff can be in a total upheaval. And your only thing that you focus on internally is that I made a decision to set them free. I'm mad, but I made a decision. I know what you did, but I made a decision. I heard what you're up to, but I've made a decision. That you just stay locked in on a decision that you've made. That's the work internally, and that's it. You don't have to start trying to make yourself feel like you like them. You don't have to force yourself to want to go sit with them. You've just made a decision. This is what's beautiful. And then all of the work that you do beyond the decision is external and it's chunked. It's little by little. I'm going to make that make sense. I've made a decision internally that I want to set them free. I'm no longer working internally to control my feelings, my memories, my thoughts, nothing. I'm letting them do what I do as long as I stay locked into the fact that I've made a decision. Where I do my next action steps are externally. And all that you have to do externally, y'all get this, is whatever you've been doing, you make tiny steps to stop that. For example, if what I normally do externally when I'm angry is I go and make an ugly post, I don't say his name. I don't say her name. I don't do that. But I go make the post. Well, today, I'm just not going to make the post. Yeah, I still feel like I feel. I'm still angry, upset, disappointed, discouraged. I'm not trying to control any of that. But today, I am going to control my one external action. I made a decision internally. The external action that I'm going to do, just one, is I'm going to stop posting today. I don't even mean I'm going to stop the whole month. I'm just going to stop today. Today, I'm not going to text my best friend up the street who live around the corner from them and say, what they doing? Today, I'm just not going to ask that question via text. Today, I'm just not going to, I normally on Mother's Day, because she ain't been a good mother, I normally go and buy all of her sister's stuff to rub it in her face. I'm just not going to buy all of her sister's something this time to rub it in her face. I'm still angry internally. I'm still disappointed internally. And I'm not trying to control all of that. Not yet. But I've made a decision that I'm going to set her free. And I'm going to start moving my actions, the external ones, the ones that are often easier to stop. It's easier perhaps to stop the post than it is to stop being angry. So I'm just going to stop the post today. Now I'm going to do a check-in. I know we're at time. I'm going to do a quick check-in to make sure that you're tracking, that you're getting practical steps on how to set someone free. Practical steps on how to set them free. So let me just use this one somebody posted as an example. She said, I'm 60 and counting and hoping my mom loves me like she loves my siblings. So this is how that looks for you, sis. It's making a cognizant decision that I'm setting her free from this expectation of being able to meet how I need to be loved. I'm clear that I need love, and I need maternal love that looks like this. And I've given myself permission to receive that maternal love elsewhere. So now, as it relates to my biological mom, I'm setting her free from trying to love me a particular way, because I'm 60 and she ain't done that yet. So I don't have 60 more years to sit around waiting on that. Sis, and I don't know if I know you because I can't see your name, so I'm just giving you tough but love. Shame on you if you spend another 60 years sitting around watching your mom and trying to compare if she loved you like she loved your siblings. Shame on you. If you become clear about what you need and what type of love you need, and you've been waiting 60 years to get it from a place and it has not delivered, you have the power to say, I want someone I can go in and get advice from. I want someone who prays for me. I want someone who will give me a compliment. Let me move around, because 60 years is a long time to wait for it to be delivered from this person. Let me go with my grown woman, mature woman self and figure out where I can get that met. Let me do that work for me. And then I choose to set her free in my mind. Yes, my feelings can still be hurt. Yes, my emotions can still be disappointed and angry, but I don't have that kind of time to keep waiting. So I'm going to get that met. And this is what I'm going to do to set her free. Listen, sister, I'm just reading what you said. Today, what I'm going to do is stop trying to monitor what she's given somebody else that she ain't gave me. Today, I'm going to make a decision that ain't my business. If she bought my sibling a dress, I hope the dress fit her cute. And you know what? If I want a dress with my 60-year-old self, I'm going to go get me a dress. I'm going to own watching and comparing and allowing, perhaps you don't even highlight that part, but it could be an issue, and highlighting and nurturing and perhaps allowing that to build tension between me and my siblings. Listen, y'all, and I do a whole nother segment on that, because y'all know parents can start the tension between siblings. That's biblical. Baby, Joseph's brothers kind of halfway side-eyed him because the daddy chose out of 12 kids to only go get one, the favorite coat. The coat of many colors. Y'all know? That's a whole nother lesson. But I'm here to say, them siblings noticing that and processing that, and baby, we out here freezing. We cold too. Now, honey, they wasn't cold, but I'm just saying, they understood that the daddy gave a gesture towards one, and that moment created tension between them. But y'all, we got the Bible. We get to read the Bible in hindsight and learn lessons. So if we get that and we see how that ended up, we see how God vindicated Joseph. We see how God brought that full circle. We see how Joseph no longer packed the weight of what his brothers had done to him. We see how God sent them back full circle to have to make that thing right. We got to step into that stuff by faith. That somebody say it with me. He's the same God, sis. He sees all of that. He saw how the brothers got on Joseph because of a gesture that the daddy did. But it is also incumbent upon us to learn those lessons, sis. And so if the mama doing whatever she doing, honey, and loving the siblings differently, one, safeguard your relationships with your siblings and don't allow that angst to be in your heart against them for something that the mama did. And then two, you have to do the work of not buying into the comparison, of not looking at the favorite coat and making issue about the favorite coat. Sincerely, we get to read the Bible in hindsight and we get to say, now I'm not going to choose to act like that. I'm not going to be a part of digging a pit to throw him in. I already see how they did that to Joseph for something Joseph couldn't even control. I'm not going to join in on that foolishness. I'm a mature woman. I'm a kingdom citizen. I'm going to own that your ways have hurt me, but I'm not deep diving into foolishness behind stuff like that. I'm going to go and get my needs met elsewhere. And then I'm going to quit checking. I'm not going to be a part of the group text where the folks say, you know, she baked so-and-so a cake, she didn't bake you one. I'm exiting myself from that stuff. I'm putting it on mute. I'm not opening it and reading it. We've got to own it. We got to become a part of it. We got to do our work. Y'all got me talking hard and it's time to go. Are y'all tracking on this morning? We begin to set people free. We set them free. We set them free, y'all. We set them free. In Jesus' name, we set them free. We set them free by setting ourselves free. I'm gonna circle back to the steps. We set them free by setting ourselves free. How do we do that? In the first segment, I talked about us. We set ourselves free by giving ourselves permission to need what we need. Somebody got it in the notes. We set ourselves free by giving ourselves permission to need what we need. And then we give ourselves permission to have those needs met elsewhere. We stop singing the same old song about what my mama didn't do, my dad didn't do, my sister didn't do, my best friend didn't do, my dada. We stop it. Sincerely, mature woman, arise. Kingdom citizen, arise. We need what we need, Darkest, and we give ourselves permission to have those needs met elsewhere. Then we set them free by making a cognizant decision that I want to set them free. Sometimes we got to do the work of wanting it. I'm not saying that wanting it is automatic. I'm not saying that wanting it is easy. That's why I said for some of you, your work is just going to be to get up every day and just decide, honey, I kind of want them to be free. Not really, but I do. and you just do the work of choosing to want them to be free. Not free from consequences, not free from what they did, free from you packing the weight of ensuring that they get the consequences. When we do that, we leave ourselves alone. We don't worry ourselves about our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions. They are what they are. We just start doing the external acts, just a little bit, day by day, to align with what we say we have decided. So if I used to stalk their social media pages to see what they're doing so I can get mad. Y'all get that? My 3-year-old niece does that, honey. When she wants you to know she feels something, she try to do it all in her eyebrows. But we make a cognizant decision. I stalk them on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Honey, I go all the way over there to MySpace. That don't even work no more because I just want to see what they're doing so I can get mad. Well, I make an external decision. Mature woman, I'm going to still stalk them a little bit, but I ain't going to check LinkedIn, MySpace, TikTok, nor Snapchat. I may scroll past Instagram a little bit, but I'm not stalking them on all 6 of them pages. And I know, yes, MySpace. And I know that can sound facetious, but I'm saying growth is growth. And I'm acknowledging it, y'all. And eventually you'll look up and you won't be on those spaces trying to see what they're doing so you can get irritated. Yeah. And then you may decide, and now I'm going to ask my best friend to quit giving me the daily report. If she see him at an event or something with someone else, when she starts the conversation, texting me to say, girl, guess what? I'm going to say, girl, I'm no longer guessing. I'm no longer guessing. I'm not engaging because I've made a decision to set them free. Yeah. Yeah. And normally on Mother's Day, I go and get under a bed and I cry hard so I can wake up and be pitiful and broke down. And today, no, I'm going to give it some other girlfriends who have good maternal relationships. And I'm asking, can I go with y'all? I'm not going to sit at home by myself crying so I can get worked up and get ready to tell my biological mama off. No, in advance. Or in advance, I'm going to find a grandmother or a mother who's lost their daughter or something. I'm going to go be with them. This is what I know for sure. When we do the work, y'all, one day you wake up and you bump into the self that's no longer crying about what they did. One day you bump into the self that realizes, I don't even know how this happened, but I ain't thought about them in 2 whole weeks. Like when you really do the work, the hard work, man, when you do the hard work, One day you wake up and you exhale. You really do. You exhale and you realize you're breathing and you didn't even think you were going to be able to catch your breath. But it's the work. It's the work. We done went way over time, but I'm kind of okay with it because I'm working out of town today. I'm about to go to some meetings. I hope this has helped. Somebody say, yeah, you wake up and you're healed. In true form and fashion to 2023, you wake up and you're well and you're whole. You're well and you're whole. I'm just sitting with it because it's not instant and it's not easy. But you can do it, sis. You done did all that you've done. You can do this too. You set yourself free first by really understanding what you need and giving yourself permission to get those needs met. And then you begin to set them free. You set them free by giving yourself the freedom to no longer own them getting their consequences for what they've done. Be clear about that, baby. I'm not saying they're not going to get no consequences. I'm not saying that they didn't do it. I'm not saying that they don't deserve every bit of the angst that you have against them. But you give up owning that because he's the same God who stepped to the plate for Joseph. He's the same God that's going to step to the plate for me and you. Baby, and when he come in heavy hitting, he come in because he don't play about you, sis. That's the narrative. That's the narrative. Like when you really embrace that God don't play about you, then you stop trying to carry the weight of making sure folk do right by you. Because you feel like maybe God overlooked you. He didn't see how they did it. My good girlfriend loves to tell me, honey, he ain't sleep. He don't slumber. He don't doze off. He not sleep. God don't play about you. He coming. He's the same God. He's coming. So you no longer pack that consequence. You make that decision in your mind. And then slowly but surely externally, you start taking your baby steps, sis. You just start moving your actions closer to the decision that you've made. Baby, if you stalk them one day lesser. If you normally talk hard about them, you talk less about them. Baby, if you normally get the updates, you stop getting them updates. If you normally watching and comparing, baby, you see what I'm saying? You just start, and eventually you're free. Baby, and when God brings that thing full circle, can't nobody do that like God does that. Telling you what I know and telling you what I heard and telling you what I know. All right? May the God of grace. May the God of grace be on active duty in our lives today, guarding our hearts and guarding our minds. May the God of grace be on active duty in our lives, guarding our hearts and guarding our minds. If you'll meet me right here in the comments, everybody say well and whole. Well and whole. That's our prayer in Jesus' name. And if you are in full agreement, I'm going to wait for us a moment on today. I'm putting well and whole. Well and whole. Theme 2023. Well and whole. Y'all declaring it over your own lives? And they're right here for us. Well and whole. I appreciate y'all lingering long on today, soaking all of this in, allowing it to be what you need it to be. Well and whole. We have prayer in the morning. We'll be right back. See you saying it. In Jesus' name. Deshelle, well and whole, my sis. Well and whole, Teresa. Well and whole, Nikita. Well and whole, Deborah. I want y'all to know, some of y'all I can't see because it just simply says Facebook user, so I don't want y'all to think that I'm ignoring you and not putting your name. Some names I can just see. Deborah, well and whole. Nikita, well and whole. So everybody who has Facebook user, I'm acknowledging y'all too. Deshelle, well and whole. Love y'all too. I'll see y'all right back here in the morning. We will be live until December the 22nd, and then we're going to take some breaks. So I encourage all of you to keep leaning in, soaking in, getting as much as you can in. And then coming to the physical pop-up, I feel like God's going to do something quite different for us, and we won't have such a limit on time because people have to go to work and the like. You're welcome, Sharice. You're very welcome, sis. I love you. I root for you, well and whole. And so we'll linger in this space. I feel a need to pray over people, to touch people, to anoint people, to hug people. So y'all plan to be there. We're going to end solid, but well and whole. See you in the morning for prayer. Y'all have a most productive day. All right. Talk to you later. As always, I honor the greatness that's on the inside.